Are women in Islam oppressed?
Yes, they are.
What? Are you serious?
But they're oppressed by Muslim men. And I just want to make it very clear that this has nothing to do with Islam. It's the culture.
Oh, okay.
But the
Muslim culture. Muslim men are the problem, basically.
culture is so dominant, and it comes across, you know, something that it comes from Islam. It doesn't come from Islam. It's just like Islamophobia. You know, it's really Muslim phobia. And so this idea of oppression, to be very honest and transparent to people, and people like us to be honest with them, this idea of oppression comes from the culture of many Muslim men.
Right. So what is Islam?
So he puts the blame on Muslim men. Yeah, women are oppressed. Women are these innocent victims, and it's these monstrous men who are just keeping women down, kicking the Muslim women. So this is obviously a completely distorted understanding of reality. Like the world that we live in today, it's the exact opposite. Men are the ones who are oppressed by laws, feminist laws that have been put in place that systematically oppress men. And the sad part about it is that men are not even realizing that they're oppressed in this way, that their basic rights, human rights, have been completely dashed, have been completely destroyed by a feminist system. And some of the most basic human rights that everyone will recognize is, how about the right to see your children? How about the right to be with your children? Guess what? You don't have that right as a man. You get married, and it's not just in the West, even increasingly in the Muslim world, in countries like Jordan, in countries like Egypt, in countries like Saudi. Increasingly, this is a problem, and you don't have the right to your children because tomorrow, because of no-fault divorce, your wife can say, my husband abused me, and I want a divorce. And the courts will grant her a divorce, regardless of whether you actually abused her or not, whether it's a legitimate complaint against you or not. They'll grant her the divorce. They will take a huge chunk of your property, 50% or even more of your property, and give it to her, and your children will be taken from you. And she will get custody. And if she wants to move to the other side of the world, if she wants to move to a completely different city, she can do that. And you can't stop her. You cannot stop her or prevent her from taking your children. And if she wants to get a boyfriend, you know, maybe she decides, I'm no longer Muslim, I'm leaving Islam, assuming that she was a Muslim in the first place, I'm leaving Islam, and you can't do anything about that, and now I have a boyfriend. Maybe I have 2 or 3 boyfriends. Why should I limit myself to one? I'm a free, independent woman. And your children are in her house. You have no right, according to the legal system within the West, and many of these Muslim countries, you do not have the legal right to prevent that. You cannot gain custody. And there are shocking cases where the man is a upright citizen, bringing in a lot of money in terms of work, and this wife, that is his ex-wife, is literally a drug addict. She's literally a drug addict. She's on welfare. She can't hold a job. But she's entitled to the children, and he is not. He can barely see them once a month, if that. And if she decides to pick up and go to another country, forget it. Forget it. And some of these countries now, some of these Muslim countries, because of the reformists, because of the compassionate imams, they have gone to such an extent to cater to women that they're now even more feminist than the West. They're now even more feminist than the West. There are shocking cases. I share them every now and then on my Telegram channel. And there was even one really sad comment that someone made on one of my videos on this channel. I screenshotted it. And it's exactly this case of a husband having to find his children because his wife, his ex-wife, left the country, went to Egypt, and got a judgment against him so that he can't even see his children anymore. This is happening to some of you maybe watching right now. Maybe some of you in the chat. So this is, don't tell me that how are women oppressed? Like in a systematic way. Now, if you tell me that there's a deadbeat husband, he's hitting his wife in the face, in the head, he's not paying for their house, he's not paying for their food, I'll agree. I'll say, yeah, that's a deadbeat. He is oppressing his wife and his children. He's a scumbag. In the sight of Allah, he is going to be held accountable. And in this dunya, if we can hold him accountable, we should take measures to protect her and protect her rights. But that's an individual case. That's anecdotal. That's one person. For every one of those cases, I can give you at least 1, if not 10, of the woman who is abusing him, her husband. But we don't make these kinds of judgments on who is oppressing who on the basis of anecdotes. We base it on an analysis of the global legal system, how society has evolved, how gender roles have evolved over time. That's how we make a judgment. That's how we have to, and that's what we should do, like if we truly care about women. So if Sheikh Khalid Yassin, he really cares about women, he should be honest about the situation, because this is a path to the hellfire. When women are oppressing their husbands or oppressing other men in their families, that's a path to the hellfire, and many of them are going to be damned in the akhirah. Why? Because they are zalimin or zalimat. They are oppressors. So if you care about women, you should speak the truth. warned them. And that's what we see from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what we see from him. He said that, I see the majority of you are in the hellfire. Or the majority of the hellfire is women. That's what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in an authentic hadith. And why? Yakfurna al-ashir. That's what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. You are ungrateful. You are ungrateful to your husbands. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not catering to anyone's whims and desires. He's not trying to gain followers and gain 75,000 converts by just telling people what they want to hear. He could have said, no, the Jannah is full of women. And the majority of Jannah are women, and you're amazing. You're so strong. Like that's what he could have said, like some of these compassionate imams are saying today. Have you seen any of these compassionate imams teaching that hadith for real and not trying to find some kind of cheap apologetic to explain it away? Teaching that hadith as a stone cold warning, putting the fear of God in these women. Do you see that? Do you see? I ask this. Have you seen any of these conferences? There are plenty of conferences dedicated to empowering women, and we need Muslim women to be at the top. And how can we give Muslim women more rights and more privileges and take away more of their responsibilities and more of their duties? There are plenty of conferences like that. And if you send your wives and your daughters to those conferences, expect to be divorced very soon. Expect to be divorced and never to see your children again. If you're sending your daughters to those conferences and having them listen to these compassionate imams, that's what you should expect. But have you seen any conference about the topic of how to please your husband? How can you best please your husband as a wife, as a Muslim woman? Top 10 tips for pleasing your husband. Where are the conferences like that? Where are the conferences like that? Where are the speakers who are talking like that? I want to see some male speakers. I want to see some male speakers talking about this important, critical issue. If you really care about women, why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said that this is one of the paths, the clear, simple, easy path to Jannah, to paradise. You are a believing Muslim woman and you die and your husband is pleased with you. Guess what? Go to Jannah through any gate that you wish. Any gate of paradise that you wish. Ahlan wa sahlan. That's for you. That's for you, the good Muslim wife. Your husband is pleased with you. So shouldn't we be emphasizing that? Shouldn't we be teaching that? No. We're teaching them that you're oppressed. No matter how much your husband does for you, it's not enough. It's not enough. How much your husband does for you, you deserve more. You're entitled to more. That's what they're being taught. These Muslim women are being taught to have endless expectations, to never be pleased, because you're the queen, you're amazing. And he's lucky to have you. He has to find a way to please you. He has to make sure that when he dies, you're pleased with him. They've completely reversed it. They've completely reversed it. So this is dereliction of duty. This is leading people to the hellfire. This is destroying our families. This is destroying our communities. You deserve more. You're entitled to so much. It's like they're exactly teaching what the Prophet ﷺ said is going to lead to the majority of the hellfire being women. Yakfurna al-ashir, being ungrateful. You're doing a kind of kufr, ingratitude to your husband because you're never pleased. That's exactly what they're teaching women. That's exactly what they're teaching them. They're teaching them how to be more and more displeased, more and more ungrateful. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And this is authentic hadith. I don't see it being taught. No. We get these platitudes. It's Muslim men, the culture that's oppressing women.